Welcome to the September 2025 real estate market update for Prescott, Arizona. My name is Brent Wofford. I am a local realtor here in Prescott. Yes, I said it Prescott off the beginning because most of you that watch this are not from here. So if I say Prescott, it might confuse you a little bit. There's mad controversy on how you say the name. I say it Prescott. But I met somebody else who also lives here and lives here longer than me, and he calls it Prescott because it's not Skitsdale, it's Scottsdale. Anyways, that was your random blurb. Let's dive into what's going on this month. I do have a couple notes I want to share with you real quick before we dive into the data. The things you're going to hear about right now are we at a seasonal turning point? So that's the theme for this month's video, is a seasonal turning point, right? There you go. Is the data just saying we're shifting like normal, or are we going for another loop? Because we talked about loops in last month's video. And the market flipping on us, thus sending us for a loop. Anyways, if you get the roller coaster reference, awesome. If not, I just explained it. So anyways, yeah, some of the highlights for this month's data are going to be home sales are actually down month over month. Is that a seasonal shift, or is it a flip? Median sales price is also down, which that correlates with sales being down, right? And then supply of homes is up, which that also correlates with, inventory going up, prices coming down. But the kicker is discounts on homes are actually going down. So we saw a shift last month to where sellers were giving less of a discount to buyers on homes. So let's dive into the data. All right, switching it so you can still see my face here on the YouTube channel, but obviously I'm going to be looking at the data and going over it with you. So without further ado, let's dive into it. I've changed it up again this month, just trying to make the data flow the best for conversation that I can. So we are going to talk about sales price, but it's not at the beginning of this video. It's going to be more towards the middle. So stick around for that information, or you can just skip to the middle if that's what you're here for. But first, let's talk about how we got there. Homes sold, right? So last month we were at 143 homes sold. Well, let's go to 2025 here, highlight the data. 143, that is a tick down of quite a few actually, 158 in July. So 15 homes less that sold in August. Not horrible, but it is still a tick down on the sales, right? And that is actually still 6 more than we sold compared to last year. So talking about the seasonal shift, July to August. August was a bump up in sales, if I pull up 2024 data. Well, this year, July was the peak, and August has come down. So our seasonal shift pattern, if we look at all the rest of the spaghettis here on the chart, it's generally a tick up or flat from July to August. So we are seeing an anomaly here in the data going from 158 in July to 143 in August. Looking at homes just listed, so I like to look at the data that says what actually went on the market in the same month, right? Because if we take this minus the ones that sold, that gives us our surplus or our shortage month over month. So let's look at just the 2025 data here. We're looking at 191 went on the market in August compared to 218 in July, compared to 277 in May. So we had a whole bunch of sellers hit the market March, April, May. June, July has dropped off. August has dropped off even more. August has been the second worst year for homes hitting the market in Prescott since, going all the way back to 2019 on this data. But yeah, 2023 was worse. Last year we had more homes. This year, less. So let's look at the seasonal change though. If you're looking at all the spaghetti charts here, all the spaghetti noodles on our chart, July to August, last year was pretty flat. 2023 was a tick up. 22 was a drop off. 21 was a drop off. 2020 was actually a drop off too a little bit, even though that was our anomaly year. And 2019, weird, July down, August up. Kind of odd for pre-COVID numbers there. Anyways, I would say this more aligns with seasonal shift. Less sellers go on the market August, September, October, November, December. January it pops up a little bit. February's a lull, snow. March, April, May, hot months. So this is kind of in line, a little bit more of a drop off than we like to see, but it's still more or less in line with the data. We are 17 less compared to last year. So something to keep in mind. Moving on, this tells us if we are in a surplus or a shortage. Obviously, we're in a surplus. There's always more homes coming on the market, or has been for quite a while, than are selling every month. So last month we hit 48. So we dropped down. Let's go back to 2025 spaghetti chart here. 64 in July, dropping down to 48 in August. I made a buffer of 50-50, so 50 above, 50 below zero. Kind of zero is our equilibrium point. I would say if we're within this range here of 100 homes, we're more towards a balanced market than in a surplus for that month specifically. So looking at August last month, on the cusp of being on the edge of a surplus, but more or less being in that balanced markers. And let's talk about why that matters and why that's important. Because that translates to homes for sale. So anything that doesn't sell gets stacked onto the inventory. You can see our inventory is actually 811, not quite as high as we've been earlier this year in June. We were at 817, had a little bit of a drop in July, 799, back up to 811 in August. This is great news if you're a buyer, because it means that there's 811 homes for you to choose from in Prescott as of the end of August. So probably more now. And if you're a seller, that isn't necessarily good news, because that means you have 811 people to compete with if you're not on market yet, or whatever date you watch this video. So just know there's a lot of homes on the market right now in Prescott. Comparing to last year, we were at 113 more homes on the market now compared to last year. And interest rates, I don't cover them, but last I saw, they were floating around the 6 1/4, so 6.25, 6.29 mark. So that is a tick down from compared to last month. They were closer to the 6.5% interest rates. So again, I'm not a mortgage broker. I don't cover interest rates. That's just based on Mortgage News Daily and what I'm seeing on there. So if you have any questions about mortgage rates and you need a lender in the area, go ahead and find my contact information down below. I can connect you with an awesome lender who's local here to Prescott and can give you rates that fit your buying profile. Moving on. Months of inventory. So that number of homes on the market divided by how many actually sold gives us our months of inventory. Again, this pocket here from 4 to 6 is going to be more of a balanced market. Anything below 4 is going to be a seller's market. Above 6 is going to be a buyer's market. Just keep in mind, this is generally speaking. So 6.8 months of supply is telling us our Prescott market overall, is a buyer's market. But that's not the case in the sub 400 price range. If you've got a single family home in Prescott right now under 400, you're probably going to get multiple offers, and it's going to sell super quick if it's in move-in ready condition. So typically speaking, the lower the price point, the more you have an advantage as the seller. It's more going to be in a seller's market. The higher the price point, it's more of a buyer's market right now. So know that we've kind of trended down a little bit, June, July, August, but we are still in that buyer's market. And I think that's going to continue through the rest of the year. I think we'll see a seasonal drop off a little bit, kind of like we saw in 2024. See how it kind of rounds off. It peaks in August and kind of rounds off here. And why I don't have December data, I don't know. I'm going to have to remember that. Anyways, I think we'll see it drop off a little bit here for 2025, but I don't think we're going to get back into this balanced market unless interest rates drop down below 5%, drop down into the 5s below 6%. Then I think we will see a little bit of a spike, so to speak, in buyer activity, which then will take homes off the market and we could get back into that balanced market territory. Moving on. The moment you all have been waiting for. Thank you so much for making it to this point in the video so far. I know this is what a lot of you come here is to find what's the sales price, right? What are homes actually selling for, price point? Well, in August, the median sales price was $618,500, and that is actually a decrease year over year of 0.01%. Really almost almost identical to last year on the sales price. So year over year prices haven't changed if we're talking about the median sales price, but it has gone down since July. We hit a year, the peak of the year at 662,500 in July, which is not the peak overall. Peak overall is 22, was basically 670. And we've come down a little bit from there. So is this a seasonal shift, or is this a market correction? And this is where my brain peaks, because the only other year we've seen kind of a drop was in 22, which 22 is still, that was a shift year. You know, we had low interest rates at the beginning of 22. We were at like 3.5%. And then by the end of 22, we were at 7% on interest rates. So that year is just, look at it. It's a roller coaster, up, down, up, down, up, down. So that year's an anomaly. Most of the other years, it's either pretty flat or it's a tick up. You know, COVID was also another crazy year. That's why it's in red. So I don't know. Are we seeing a market shift here? That's where my interest is peaked. So yeah, price drop from July to August. Now I like to look at this one, which is sold to list percentage, which tells me the average discount buyers are getting on homes in Prescott right now. So as of last month, it was a 2.1% discount. If we take that and times that by the median sales price, that gives us a $13,000 average discount off the median list price, which still is respectable, right? But it is less than we had in July. July was at 2.5%. So why did it tighten up if we've got more inventory and less buyers? It kind of doesn't make sense. You would think less buyers and more inventory means sellers would be willing to discount homes more. Maybe sellers are willing to discount homes more, buyers just aren't asking for it. That's why it's so important to hire the right agent for you. If you're looking to buy in the Prescott market, hire somebody who knows this data and knows what discounts are being gotten on average to help you with your best with negotiations. And negotiations isn't just price. It can be about getting a home warranty, getting some appliances that you want. Like say you want the refrigerator, washer, and dryer to stay with the home and the seller's not offering it. We can negotiate that stuff in. We can get creative too with negotiations depending on if you have a cash deal or if you have a loan. You know, I recently did a deal where we negotiated some of the rugs in for the buyer. The buyer was doing a cash deal, so there was no lender to get in the way of personal property. If you have questions on that, reach out to me. All my contact information is listed below. I am a realtor here in Prescott, Arizona. And yeah, hit me up, pick my brain. That's what I'm here for. So moving on, let's wrap up with days on market. So days on market actually ticked up too, which is seasonal. So look, the last, 24, 23, 22, actually everything on here. I didn't go back to 2020 for days on market. I probably should add that data in, but at this point, it's not as important as the other slides. But still, seasonal tick up, just like we see every single year. So, but we are the highest August that we've been in the last 5 years. So with 83 days on market. And that's a direct reflection of our inventory being at 811. Buyers have more homes to choose from, so that means the homes they're not choosing are sitting on the market for longer, and you sellers are just going to have to wait for the right buyer to walk through your door. Cool. And that is a wrap on today's real estate market update. I was trying to keep it short and sweet and quicker to the point for y'all. My goal is always to try to keep it under 10 minutes, and let's check the counter right now. I don't think I'm there. I'm at 14:26. I'll crop this a little bit, but yeah, thank you for sticking with me. If you're still here right now watching the video, thank you so much. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. All my contact information is listed below. And subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on market updates. So I do Prescott Valley, Sedona, and I might bring Flagstaff back. I don't know. If you're interested in Flagstaff, drop a comment below. If I get enough comments, I'll bring the Flagstaff market updates back. But yeah, Prescott Valley, Sedona, those are my three main market areas here in Arizona. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.